Hi everyone. Today's theme is how to overcome low context culture interview. My next question, for example, Japanese candidate willing to join multinational organization, what should they prepare for the interview?
Yes, that's a very good question. There are, in fact, two things in particular that a Japanese candidate should prepare to do before they go into the meeting. One, they need to be prepared to sell themselves. And two, they need to be prepared to ask questions when they have the opportunity. Now, talking about selling themselves, in low-context cultures, especially the United States and Canada, individual performance and people who achieve results are valued. So in Japanese cultures, I think it's considered rude and arrogant to talk about yourself in an interview, but the opposite is expected in a low context culture. So in fact, it's important to explain your value and how you're different and better than the other candidates. It may seem strange, but that's considered a normal part of the interview process. Yeah.
Otherwise, they don't see the value, right?
Exactly. And you have only a short amount of time to make a good impression. So it's very important. So I recommend before you go into the interview, think about your strong points and be prepared to talk about them. It's a good idea to sit down and write out these points for yourself before the interview. So, for example, if you're applying for a managerial role, you should talk about how you, as a leader, made your team more successful, and you should share specific examples. If you can tie in numbers, like, for example, increased profit margin or reduced operating costs, that's even better because then you're showing results. As for asking questions in the interview, in a low context culture, asking questions shows you're interested in the job and you want to get results. It's important to ask those questions when you have the opportunity. They'll usually ask you near the end of the interview. So you can ask all sorts of questions. You could ask questions about the job. For example, what is the most important skill your ideal candidate should have? You can also ask questions directly to the interviewer. For example, what is your favorite part about working here? And you can even ask questions about the company, such as what is the company culture like? So you should be prepared to ask, well, you only have to ask 2 or 3 questions, but it's a good idea to have about 10 questions ready. That way, if some of the questions are already answered earlier in the interview, then you have some other ones ready to go. Because you don't want to go into the interview, they answer all your questions, and then when they ask you, oh, do you have any questions? You have nothing to ask. It's going to make a bad impression. So you want to make a good impression and show that you're really thinking about the job and you're very interested and eager to get results.
Yeah, from my experience, I agree. I see multinational company. Of course, they have job description and it's very clear about the responsibility. So candidates should ask about each task's job responsibilities, also the target, goal, KPI, KGI, the challenges for past 3 months or 6 months. These kind of things is going to be really helpful after joining to the company, right?
Absolutely. So asking about those things shows that you are paying attention. And of course, also going back to that first point about selling yourself, when you look at what's in the interview and what the requirements are, you can make sure that the examples you have ready and when you're selling yourself, that you sell points that are connected to those things that they're looking for as well.
Johnson, are you also teaching how to overcome or how to prepare interview in English?
Yes. We cover that. We cover the interview process as part of my program. And go from the interview at the beginning, what's expected when you start, all the way to the finish, and questions and answering the questions and asking your own questions. So we cover all of this in my teaching and my program.
Okay. Right. Yeah, it's really interesting, John-san. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, Moriuchi-san.